The Horizon Chaser and its crew set sail on what seemed like an ordinary day. But young Jonah Ree, the sharp-eyed sailor, couldn't shake an unsettling feeling. As the sun climbed higher, he noticed something unusual on the horizon, a shadow breaking the smooth expanse of the ocean. At first, he dismissed it as a trick of the light, but the longer he stared, the more convinced he became that something was truly there. When he alerted Captain Wyatt, a seasoned sailor who trusted his instincts, the captain too spotted the disturbance. Though maps indicated nothing but open water in that area, the shadow remained persistent and mysterious. With growing curiosity, Wyatt ordered the crew to steer the ship toward it, unaware of the dangers that lay ahead. As they approached, what they had assumed to be solid land revealed itself to be something far stranger. A vast field of floating pumice stones, gray and porous, stretching as far as the eye could see. Sarah Collins, the ship's navigator, identified the stones as volcanic debris, suggesting a recent underwater eruption. However, no reports of volcanic activity had come from this region, making the sight all the more baffling. The crew watched uneasily as the ship moved deeper into the field, the stones clattering softly against the hull. Beneath the floating rock, the water appeared dark and clouded with ash, a silent warning of something lurking beneath. Then, as if inviting them in, they noticed a strange, clear path cutting through the pumice field, a narrow strip of open water that seemed almost deliberately carved. Though hesitation filled the crew, Wyatt ordered them to follow the path and uncover its secrets. Sailing through the eerie passage, the crew grew more unsettled. The sea, once calm, now carried an oppressive stillness. The wind had died, leaving only an unnatural quiet. Then a strange hum filled the air, a deep, rhythmic vibration that seemed to resonate from the ocean itself. It grew louder as they moved forward, setting their nerves on edge. Jonah, his instincts screaming at him, whispered his unease, but no one had an explanation for the sound. Suddenly, the sky began to change, darkening into an ominous shade of gray without a single cloud in sight. Light seemed to drain from the world around them, casting the sea into an eerie twilight. The atmosphere grew heavy, suffocating, as if they had crossed into a place where nature itself was distorted. And then the ocean came alive. At first, the water rippled, a gentle disturbance beneath the floating stones. But the movement quickly turned violent. The sea churned, waves rising higher with each passing moment. Then, with a deafening roar, steam and ash erupted from the water ahead. The sea boiled violently as molten lava breached the surface, cooling instantly upon contact and forming solid rock before their eyes. An island was rising from the depths, born of fire and fury. The crew stood frozen, witnessing the raw power of the earth as the new landmass took shape. The sky filled with thick smoke, and the air reeked of sulfur, burning their throats with each breath. What had once been open ocean was now a molten battlefield, the forces of nature clashing in a spectacle both terrifying and awe-inspiring. But something about this island felt wrong. Jonah could sense it. As the eruption intensified, the sea around them became even more hostile. Waves crashed against the ship, threatening to capsize it. Pumice stones, now propelled by the force of the explosion, rained down around them. The deep hum, once just a vibration in the air, now pulsed through the water and through their very bones. It was no longer just the sound of an eruption. Something else was waking up beneath them. Panic set in as the ship struggled against the raging sea. Captain Wyatt knew they couldn't outrun the chaos. The currents had shifted, pulling them toward the very heart of the eruption. Just as he was about to issue an order, The island itself convulsed violently, sending shock waves through the water. A massive tremor split the newly formed land, releasing even greater torrents of molten rock. The ocean heaved as enormous waves surged toward them. It was too late to turn back. Wyatt's voice rang out with urgency. Abandoned ship. The crew scrambled to lower the lifeboats, their hands shaking as the volcanic storm raged around them. Jonah worked quickly, his heart hammering in his chest. As they climbed into the boats, the Horizon Chaser was pulled relentlessly toward the island, its hull groaning under the strain. Then, in one final act of destruction, the unstable island began to collapse. The once mighty peaks buckled under the force of their own creation, sending boulders of molten rock crashing into the sea. Towering plumes of steam and ash consumed the sky as the boiling ocean swallowed chunks of the disintegrating landmass. The crew paddled desperately, fighting against the powerful currents. As the island crumbled, the deep hum that had haunted them reached its peak before vanishing entirely. Silence fell, broken only by the hissing of cooling rock and the labored breaths of the surviving sailors. They had escaped, but just barely. Whatever ancient force had been disturbed had retreated once more beneath the waves, leaving only destruction in its wake.